திருமணி விளங்கும் கிரீடமணி திருமணி விளங்கும் கிரீடமணி வானவர் தினம் துதிசை சிந்தாமணி திருமணி விளங்கும் கிரீடமணி வானவர் துதிசை வானவர் தினம் துதிசை சிந்தாமணி.
Namaste and welcome to this episode of Explore by the MOPA Foundation.
We are extremely happy to be presenting yet another musician to all of you as we explore their musicality. So how do you want to introduce this musician, Sriranjani?
Have you read this book by Ruskin Bond, The Hidden Pool?
I've heard of it, I've not read it.
This was a book that I read during my childhood and it stayed with me forever. The story goes like this. It is the story of 4 adventurous boys who explore the forests of Dehradun and they come across this hidden pool hidden under a canopy of trees that nobody else knows about, and henceforth it becomes their place of rendezvous, and it is this cherished place that only these 4 people know about. And do you see where I'm going with this?
I see where you're going. So I think let's introduce the musician for the day.
Such is the music of this legendary musician
Shri Sethalapathy Balasubramaniam Mama,
or Balu Mama as he's
fondly known as. So we are going to explore. Today's episode of Explore is going to be all about him and his music. So let's give people some idea about his life and how he came up as a musician. So Sethalapathy is actually a town that is very near to the Mayavaram district, and that's where he hails from. And he started off his profession as a school teacher in the village called Peralam, which is also in the same district. And I think from what we understand, early 70s is when he moves to Chennai, and then starts another career in the Ramakrishna Mission as a Tamil teacher, and that carries on till the late 90s, and after that he's retired. So that is a brief sketch about his professional career.
His initiation into music started with his Chittappa, who was a student of Papanasam Sivan. But way before that, he apparently learnt a lot of Papanasam Sivan kritis, sevi vadiya, they say, right? Through listening in Veedi Bhajanais in Thilaisthanam and the villages around Mayavaram. Later, when he moved to Chennai in the 1970s, early 70s, he started tutelage directly under Papanasam Sivan. So that is the musical background as such.
Lovely.
Let's get into the actual stuff.
Correct. So I think when we say Papanasam Sivan and Balu Mama, I think all of us know that he's known as the treasure trove of his compositions. Very having been a student and having been through probably the times when most of those compositions were even composed, I think every musician looked up to him as that person, and a lot of rare compositions and things he always sings and stuff. So should we listen to one of those? Yes. Found a very rare composition in
Bhairavi. Taye Niye Arulvaye. I don't think anybody, at least I didn't find any recordings of anybody singing this kriti. Such a rare kriti, and it starts brightly in the upper octave.
Yes.
privilege of learning from Mama for almost a year. This was when I was 10 years of age. I do wish that I had more maturity to understand the greatness or the value of whatever was being offered to me, right? Unfortunately, I didn't know the value back then, but every class is still very much vivid in my memory. So we used to, his biggest concern when we entered the house was whether we were fed or not. The first question he used to ask us was, Satya. Whether the answer is yes or no, we have to eat.
We have to eat.
And I still remember Mommy used to make the best morkali, and we used to heartily eat and heartily sing. Now, Mama was such a generous and giving soul. So this is how classes used to go. This is what classes with him entail. He sings heartily. He doesn't wait for anybody. He sings heartily, and we'll all be, clamoring to catch up. We'll be trying to keep up with that because there was no recorder in those days. So whatever we imbibed from those classes, whatever stayed in our memory is what we retain.
Do you remember any specific kriti or an episode that?
Yeah, there is this song that I learned, Malarinai Tunai in Riti Gavla. The recording we're going to listen shortly. I still vividly remember the first time he sang this very Balumama-ish Sangati. I was completely thrown off. So, Malarinai Tunai, Pada Malarinai Tunai, Pada Malarinai Tunai, Pada Malarinai Tunai. So I went back to my father and I was like, Appa, idu enna sangati pa? And he was like, unak adala ipo puriyadu. Just close your eyes and sing it.
Let's listen to
that composition.
Malarinai Tunaiye, Malarinai Tunaiye, Malarinai Tunaiye, Malarinai Tunaiye, Malarinai Tunaiye, Mahadeva, Malarinai Tunaiye, Mahadeva, Sharana, Malarinai Tunaiye, Mahadeva, Sharana, Malarinai Tunaiye, Mahadeva, Sharana, Malarinai Tunaiye, Mahadeva, Sharana, Malarinai Tunaiye, Malarinai Tunaiye. அழகில் சகல உலக வகையும், 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 அமரரும் அன்பர் குழாமூ, அழகில் சகல உலக வகையும், அமரரும் அன்பர் குழாமூ, மலரையன்னு முராரியும், மலரையன்னு முராரியும், மலரையன்னு முராரியும், மலர் அயனு முராரியும், மலர் அயனு முராரியும், புரந்தரனும் பணிந்திடும் பதமலரின் துணை, மலரையனு முராரியும், புரந்தரனும் பணிந்திடும் பதமலரின் துணையே,
he had a vast Tamil repertoire, right?
Absolutely.
So we hear of a lot of stories of great musicians of his generation and the generations to come who have, you know, visited his house regularly.
Learned from him.
Learn these kritis from him or exchange ideas.
Absolutely.
Have you seen Balu?
I have on a few occasions, although not learned from him, or I don't even remember him singing in front of him. But my guru, Palgad K.V. Narayanan Swami, and he were very close associates. They often met in each other's houses, exchanged ideas, sang for each other, things like that. So they had a very good relationship in that sense. So I have been privy to a few of those meetings, and that's the only memory I have of Balu Mama. But what I gather is like my guru, a lot of other really eminent musicians like D.K. Patamalamma and Sri D.K. Jayaraman, and later even your father, Sri Santhanagopalan, Sri Subramaniam, and others who have been
Baby Shriramaka.
Yeah, Mrs. Baby Shriram. People who have not only been probably closely associated with him and probably learned a lot from him directly or indirectly, things like that. So he has been a source of inspiration, especially for his Tamil, repertoire and his style of singing in Virthams and etc. I think he's been a huge source of inspiration for a lot of musicians.
I've heard that D.K. Mama has learnt Senithilandavan and Manadir Kugandadu and such songs from Balu Mama.
Correct. Yes, even I've heard that. I think my guru learnt Navasati Petralum and Vananai and Kiravani. All those things were learnt from Balu Mama.
And I remember distinctly, I was a part of this session. My guru learnt Sodani Chumaikal from Balu Mama, Kapi Ragatla.
Lovely. So, I think Manadir Kugandadu is Balu Mama's rendition of that has a very different flavor of its own, very unique flavor. We should probably listen to that.
Manadu Kugandadu Murugan Rupam Manadu Kugandadu Murugan Rupam Manadu Kugandadu Murugan Manadu Kugandadu Murugan Rupam Manadu Kugandadu Murugan Rupam மாயையை நீக்குவது அவன் திருநாமம் மனது புகழ்ந்து முருகன் ரூபம் மாயையை நீக்குவது அவன் திருநாமம் மனது புகழ்ந்து முருகன் ரூபம் மாயையை நீக்குவது அவன் திருநாமம் மனது புகழ்ந்து முருகல் ரூபம் தினமும் காப்பது அவன் கை வேல் தினமும் காப்பது அவன் கை வேல் தீராவினைகளை தீர்க்கும் கதிர்வேல் தீராவினைகளை தீர்க்கும் கதிர்வேல் தீராவினைகளை தீர்க்கும் கதிர்வேல் தீராவினைகளை தீர்க்கும் கதிர்வேல் மனது புகழ்ந்தது முருகன் மாயையை நீக்குவது அவன் திருநாமம் மனது புகழ்ந்தது மனது புகழ்ந்தது மனது புகழ்ந்தது முருகன் ரூபம் என்னும் எண்ணமெல்லாம் எண்ணும் எண்ணமெல்லாம் நிறைவேறும் எண்ணும் எண்ணமெல்லாம் நிறைவேறும் பண்ணும் பூஜையினால் பலனுண்டாகும் எண்ணும் எண்ணம் எல்லாம் நிறைவேறும் பண்ணும் பூஜையினால் பலனுண்டாகும் மண்ணில் நாம் படும் துயர்த்தீரும் மண்ணில் நாம் படும் துயர்த்தீரும் மண்ணில் நாம் படும் துயர்த்தீரும் மண்ணில் நாம் படும் துயர்த்தீரும் மாறாய் இன்பம் மனதில் சேரும் மாறாய் இன்பம் மனதில் சேரும் மாறாய் இன்பம் மனதில் சேரும் மனதில் புகழ்ந்தது முருகல் ரூபம் மாயை நீக்குவது அவன் திருநாமம் மனது புகழ்ந்தது முருகன்
How can we talk about Balu Mama? And we've been talking about him for almost 15 minutes and we haven't spoken about Virithams.
Of course, I think that's a subject by itself, for sure.
He was the undisputed king of Viritham singing, wasn't he?
Absolutely. I think everyone would agree with you there. I think his contribution to how Virithams can also be sung is, I think, a very important part when you consider everyone who's sung it. It's something that everyone sings, but I think he's completely created a unique niche for himself and inspired so many musicians. It's a very incredible contribution of his, is what I would say.
குழல் வள்ளியை வேட்டவன் மொய்தாரணி குழல் வள்ளியை வேட்டவன் மொய்தாரணி குழல் வள்ளியை வேட்டவன் மொய்தாரணி குழல் வள்ளியை வேட்டவன் மைதாரணி குழல் வள்ளியை வேட்டவன் மைதாரணி குழல் வள்ளி அணிகுழல் வள்ளி வேட்டவன் வேட்டவன் முத்தமிழால் வைதாரையும் அங்கு வாழ வைப்போன் முத்தமிழால் வைதாரையும் அங்கு வாழ வைப்போன் முத்தமிழால் வைதாரையும் அங்கு வாழ வைப்போம் வெய்ய வாரணம் போல் கைதான் 20 உடையான் தலை பத்தும் கத்தரிக்க எய்தான் மருகன் உமையாள் பயந்த இளஞ்சியமே உமையாள் பயந்த இளஞ்சியமே உமையாள் பயந்த இளஞ்சியமே இளஞ்சியமே இளஞ்சியமே.
Talking about the techniques, since we already mentioned that he was a Tamil teacher, and that actually kind of really reflects in the way he pronounces the words. The diction is so pure, it's so perfect. The kuril nedil, they say in Tamil, the hrasva dirgham, the elongation and the What is for Krishna?
The syllables without an
The short syllables.
Yeah.
So they used to be so perfect. And his Virithams had a pace of their own.
Absolutely.
You remember how we were talking about Tanam has a pace of its own?
Correct. Even Ragam has a pace.
Ragam has a pace of its
Yeah.
own. And similarly, Balu Mama's Virithams had a pace of their own.
Absolutely.
Where he used to take up these specific words which have high emotional quotient, and he used to arrange them in a particular sequence. For example, Anbe or Shiva Perumane.
Just repeat that word in like different styles.
Styles. The other thing is his usage of jaru. Like he used to throw these jarus around. For example, he sang this Viritham in Kapi before Punguil Kuvu. So in that he used to be like, Selvame, Selvame, Ponneradam Padil Swaminatha Guruve.
Yeah.
The way.
Absolutely.
Literally, you can feel yourself melting when you listen to that. Those
I think we should.
Jaru-based Sangatis. Let's listen to that.
குலம் தவிர்த்து சிந்தா குலம் தவிர்த்து இந்தாயன கருணை செய்து என் அபீஷ்டம் யாவும் சித்திக்கவே அருள் செய் முருகா அருள் செய் என் அபீஷ்டம் யாவும் சித்திக்கவே அருள் செய் பக்தர்க்கு இறங்கும் என் தெய்வமே பக்தர்க்கு இறங்கும் என் குல தெய்வமே என் தெய்வமே உனை நம்பினேன் உனை நம்பினேன் உனை நம்பினேன் நான் நம்பினேன் என் குல தெய்வமே உனை நம்பினேன் தெய்வமே உனை நம்பினேன் மந்தாகினிக்கு நியமைந்தா முகுந்தற்கு மருகா சிறந்த முருகா வண்ணமயில் வாகனா பொன்னேரகப்பதியில் வளர் சுவாமிநாத குருவே சுவாமிநாத குருவே குருவே நாத குருவே நாத குருவே சுவாமிநாத குருவே சுவாமிநாத குருவே சுவாமிநாத சுவாமிநாத குருவே சுவாமிநாத குருவே சுவாமிநாத குருவே.
When we talk about Virithams, right, let's probably break it down and understand what a Viritham is. And probably that will make it even more apparent why Balumama's style of Viritham singing is like so special. Right? So I think how I see Viritham is it is neither raga exploration by itself, nor is it like set music with words or our usual repertoire of set music or something. It's
Embedded in a rhythm. It's not embedded in a rhythm.
It's not rhythmic. It has words, but it has some kind of a rhythm going on. So it's like a probably, I see it as probably the most evolved form of Manodharma because it's neither abstract, or rather neither fully abstract nor is fully with like words and emotions and I think it's somewhere in between abstract ideas with words conveying an emotion with a pace in place, and then each word syllables are very differently arranged. So how do you approach a raga with those syllables coming in? So it's a very complex form, and I think Balu Mama has treaded that path very beautifully. Is how
My
I say.
guru used to tell me the best way to understand a ragam, if you are having trouble understanding a ragam, is to take up a viritam in that ragam and sing, because that there is an emotional power to the words that will propel you into that ragam. And as you said, the Hrisvam Dirgam, you'll understand how to give short phrases or
Correct.
elongated phrases in that
Correct.
ragam, instead of just singing as raga alapana. If you have words that have emotional quotient, it will
Absolutely.
kind of lead you on.
I have never seen him, miss a phrase or be tentative about a phrase. A lot of his ideas are so offbeat and so abstract, but there has not been one moment of like a pause or like him getting a sangadi wrong, because I'm sure it's not rehearsed music. When we listen to it, we can see that it's not rehearsed. Some of the things he's doing, he's probably doing it for the first time, but the conviction and the clarity with which it comes, it's like almost 100% pass rate, and
I think it's pure
very rare to
heart.
see that. Yeah.
It's the heart that he puts into it more than anything
I
else. I think it's very low on the cerebral quotient, I would say.
Yeah.
Right? And he was able to strike the perfect balance. It was not too raga alapana-ish, nor was it too wordy the way he presented the Viritams.
Correct.
It's very important in Viritam singing to strike that balance.
Correct.
Because if you focus too much on the lyrics, then it will just be you reciting the lyrics. And if you focus too much on the raga alapana, then it will be like another raga. As you said, it is somewhere in between these two.
Correct. That brings me to one of his Virtams in Shanmukapriya. I think it's one of the most, probably after or close competition with Karahara Priya, but he has sung these two ragas the most, in my opinion, at least from the recordings that we have.
True to being a Papanasam Sivan student.
I agree. So there are two verses that he has taken, one in Sanskritam and another in Tamil, and he has continued the same in both in the same raga.
You see that the shift is so palpable. Once he moves from Sanskrit to Tamil.
It's almost like a sigh of relief that you can hear in the recording itself, because that's his home ground, and he totally goes into it. So you should probably listen to that. Right?
Yeah, and what I particularly liked in that Shanmukapriya Viritam rendition is, I was talking about how he sequentially, not deliberately, there's nothing contrived about his music, but there is one sequence in which he sings the Ande, which just shakes my core. Amude, amude, amude. Amude, amude. This is the sequence in which he sings it. And amidst all these complicated Shanmukapriya Sangatis that he has sung, the simplicity of the sequence really tugs on your heartstrings.
We should
listen to it.
என்னை மயக்கிடும் வஞ்சப்புலனைந்தின் வழியடைத்தமுதே மாறி நின்று என்னை மயக்கிடும் வஞ்சப்புலனைந்தின் வழியடைத்தமுதே அமுதே 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 வழியடைத்தமுதே 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 அடைத்தமுதே வழியடைத்தமுதே ஊறி நின்று என்னுள் எழு பரஞ்சோதி ஊறி நின்று என்னுள் எழு பரஞ்சோதி உள்ளவா காண வந்தருளாய் உள்ளவா காண வந்தருளாய் காண வந்தருளாய் காண வந்து அருளாய் தேரலின் தெளிவே சிவபெருமானே திருப்பெருந்துறையுரை சிவனே தேரலில் தெளிவ சிவபெருமானே 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 திருப்பெருந்துறை உரை சிவனே ஈரிலா பதங்கள் யாவையும் கடந்த இன்பமே 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 சிவபெருமானே இன்பமே சிவபெருமானே என்னுடைய அன்பே சிவபெருமானே சிவபெருமானே என்னுடைய அன்பே 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 சிவபெருமானே
Let's probably focus a bit on his vocalization aspects and his, the whole style, how is totally like relying on how he vocalizes the whole thing and how the whole expression is brought out. The first thing that really strikes me about his vocalization is his pitch perfection.
Absolutely.
I think he has when you listen to his voice, it sounds like it's probably a little, rustic in nature, but the level of pitch perfection that he's able to attain in very, how do I put it, offbeat ideas coming just off the cuff and still be so perfectly executed is something outstanding, and that's probably my first takeaway from his, as a singer, like how he's able to vocalize things.
Yeah,
I think,
and a lot of risky sangatis as well. As you said, he's probably attempting for the first time.
Correct.
And he's just aced it, and I think it just comes from a lot of practice.
Maybe, or probably just in being in that zone all the time. Maybe it is a mix of all of these.
Having personally interacted with him, I know that all he cared about and knew about is good music and good food. And he never knew a world outside of
Correct.
Too. So,
Correct.
As you said, constantly being in that zone.
I agree. And there is also a very important aspect that probably gets missed out when we talk about bhava as a concept, is that for any musician, right, the musical thought process and then the emotional thought process, everything is like intertwined, but whatever is there in your mind has to get expressed in a certain way. And there is a technique that is associated with the translation. I think for Balu Mama, it's probably a very natural process. And because we often kind of miss out on that, because there's a clear process that kind of goes into it.
Definitely.
And
it is the marriage between your ideas and your voice. And it's actually a very difficult thing to do, and a lot of people.
It needs to happen, and the dynamics that's brought out, the way the words are enunciated, the way the raga flows into it, and then where to give a pause, where to like sing an extended sangati, things like that are. When you actually break it down.
Yeah, many vocalists struggle with this in the sense. It doesn't matter what kind of voice you have. If you're able to perfectly marry the ideas that you generate in your head with your voice and present it with expression, then I think that is the magic formula.
Absolutely.
There are so many examples for that, and I think Balu Mama is a standing example. As you said, he has a very rustic voice.
Absolutely.
You would think that this kind of voice generally wouldn't sit on the Shruti, but he was able to
like just latch on to the Shruti so well. In fact, I sometimes feel, that when musicians go mainstream into performance and other things, there are certain, sophistications that need to happen as part of that. You need to have a certain poise and a certain voice and present certain things in a certain way, kind of a thing. I don't think those things affected Balu Mama at all. And then
he didn't care about the clean voice. In fact, he took loud breaths after his, phrases.
Yeah, I think
It all adds to the quirk and the beauty of
and the organic quality of the music that he presented. I actually want to bring our attention to a Virtham that again he's presented in Chandra counts. And
it's not a ragam that you would think that he would explore, right? Like it seems so out of the box for the repertoire of ragas that he has.
That he usually sings. And the approach also has been very, how do I put it, influenced by whoever Hindustani musicians he has heard in his time. We don't know who that was, but we can see that there is a clear influence there. And when we look at his presentations of Virthams and ragams like this come out, and it actually creates a very versatile, envelope for us, is how I see it at least.
Balu Mama, I think he gave more chamber concerts than sabha concerts.
Absolutely.
And his music is very much an intimate, meant for that intimate setting kind of, environment. And many musicians, many great musicians, including my guru, they used to wear it like a badge of honor that to attend these chamber concerts and listen to Balu Mama sing Virthams in such an intimate setting. So chamber concerts were definitely his thing. And there is a video recording of one of his chamber concerts. This actually happened in my father's student's place. And I still remember my father, he used to keep saying this. He listened to this one Virtham, Oorilen Kaanillai, and followed by Brindavana Meduvu. So he was so inspired by that, that right after listening to that, he went to Balu Mama's house and started learning kritis from him. That was the starting place.
Lovely. What I gather is Emma Sama used to invite him almost every year or probably a couple of times a year to her house and make him sing concerts and give him requests and saying, I want you to hear this particular song or a Virtham from your voice.
I want you to come every year. And after he finishes singing, she used to say, Appa, I felt, it felt like I've been recharged for the next 1 year.
For the next 1 year, yes. Yeah. So that was the kind of, attention he got from musicians.
Adulation and attention.
Yeah, we should watch that beautiful video that's of that chamber concert.
पीताम्बरं करविराजित चन्द्रचक्रम् पीताम्बरं करविराजित चन्द्रचक्रम् कौमोदकीं सरसिजं करुणासमुद्रम् करुणासमुद्रं 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 पीताम्बरं करविराजितशङ्खचक्रं कौमादकीं सरसिजं करुणासमुद्रं राधासकार्यमतिसुन्दरमन्दहासं राधासकार्यमतिसुन्दरमन्दहासं मन्दहासं सुन्दरमन्दहासं अतिसुन्दरमन्दहासं वातालयेश मनिषं प्रतिभावयामि வானத்திலே கோபாலன் நன்று மாடுகள்
the context of chamber music, I'm also reminded of one more thing that Balu Mama was really known for and associated with are the Margari Bhajanes. So during the month of Margari, a bunch of musicians congregate together and they basically do bhajane and go around the 4 Madavidis of around the Kapali temple and the temple tank. And I think this tradition was started by Shri Papanasam Sivan himself, and but Balu Mama continued it for a very long time. And musicians especially used to go and attend that bhajana just to listen to Balu Mama sing and things like that. In fact, I've heard stories where he used to get these encore requests of the same song every
Over
day,
and over again.
and he would still sing it. And at the end of the month, musicians would still feel like they couldn't get enough of it, kind of a situation. So it was a very important thing.
My guru used to tell me, if you want to listen to real music, you should go listen to Nama Sankirtanams, Veedi Bhajanais, chamber concerts, and Odu are singing in temples. And such settings is where real music lies. Music for the sake of music.
Correct.
Just
the whole
what is the
atmosphere is
ulterior-
very different.
Yeah, there is no ulterior motive, right? So when you look at his body of work, it is quite restricted.
Yeah, at least from the recordings, that's how it seems, yes.
And from interacting with the whatever interaction we've had with him, he kept it exclusively to Tamil compositions, Tamil Virithams, some Sanskrit Virithams, a little Swaram. I think he used to say the reason why he didn't venture into too many Telugu compositions is because enakku bhasha jnanam kadiyadu, which means
The familiarity with the language.
Yeah. He lacked he claimed that he lacked the familiarity with the language.
Interesting to see that, because I think when you listen to his music, I think the way the words and the music kind of intertwined with each other, and the way he produces music was a very personal, how do I put it, experience for him every time he did it. And if he couldn't relate to it from a language standpoint, probably he just wanted to stay away from it. But that
What
did
a
not
conviction.
I agree.
That is a call that not many musicians would take, purely because if you had a wider repertoire, you would become more of a mainstream musician. And
Correct.
he never pursued any of that.
That is true. That is true.
All he wanted to do was sing music and words that he can relate to.
Absolutely. I think
For
it's a
him,
very
I think it was
inspiring
Yeah.
aspect. That also shows in the way he presents his compositions. Certain songs like, let's say, Ramanai Bhajittal or Navasiddhi Petralum, even Sendilandavan and other things that we heard, he completely owns it, and the way he presents it is very unique.
very unique.
That-
Even though many musicians have sung the same song, you don't get the same effect when Mama sings.
Balu Mama's effect is like really unique.
impact that it has.
I think that comes from the fact that his heart lies in Tamil. And he's really like explored it so beautifully.
Literally breathed life into these songs.
Beautiful.
So we should probably listen to Ramani Bhajittal.
100%.
ராமனை பஜித்தால் நோய்வினை தீரும் வீண் சஞ்சலம் மகன்றிடுமே. ராமனை பஜித்தால் நோய்வினை தீரும் வீண் சஞ்சலம் மகன்றிடுமே. ராமனை பஜித்தால் நோய்வினை தீரும் வீண் சஞ்சலம் மகன்றிடுமே. சீதா ராமனை பஜித்தால் நோய்வினை தீரும் வீண் சஞ்சலம் மகன்றிடுமே. வீண் சஞ்சலம் மகன்றிடுமே. ராமனை கண்ணால் காண்போம், ராமனை கண்ணால் காண்போம், இன்றே பிறந்த பயில் அடைவோம். ராமனை கண்ணால் காண்போம், இன்றே பிறந்த பயில் அடைவோம். துன்பமொழில் துன்பமொழில் துன்பமோடின்பம் கலந்தது பிரபஞ்சம். துன்பமோடின்பம் கலந்தது இப்பிரபஞ்சம். துன்பமோடின்பம் கலந்தது பிரபஞ்சம். துன்பமோடின்பம் கலந்தது பிரபஞ்சம். வெயில் இல்லையேல் நிழலில் என்பமுண்டோ. வெயில் இல்லையேல் நிழலில் என்பமுள். வெயில் இல்லையேல் நிழலில் என்பமுண்டோ. துயரில்லையேல் ஐயனை நினைப்பாருண்டோ. துயரில்லையே ஐயனை நினைப்பாருண்டோ. சோதனை தீயில் நம்மை சோதனை தீயில் புடமிடுவார். சோதனை தீயில் புடமிடுவார். நம்மை சோதனை தீயில் புடமிடுவார். இறங்கி தூக்கி எடுத்தானந்தம் அழித்திடுவார். இறங்கி தூக்கி எடுத்தானந்தம் அழித்திடுவார். இறங்கி தூக்கி எடுத்தானந்தம் அழித்திடுவார். அவன் நாமாமிருத்தம் பிணிக்கு திவ்யௌஷதம். அவன் நாமாமிருத்தம் பிணிக்கு திவ்யௌஷதம். ராமநாம மிருதம் பிணிக்கு திவ்யௌஷதம். ராமன் நாமாமிருத்தம் பிணிக்கு திவ்யௌஷதம். ஹரே ராம் 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 சீதா ராம் ராம் ராம். ஹரே ராம் 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 சீதா ராம் ராம் ராம். நாமாமிருத்தம் பிணிக்கு திவ்யௌஷதம். ராமநாமாமிருத்தம் பிணிக்கு திவ்யௌஷதம். ஹரே ராம் 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 சீதா ராம் ராம் ராம். ஹரே ராம் ஹரே ராம் ஹரே ராம். ராமனை பஜித்தால்.
When you listen to his rendition of certain kritis, like let's say even let's take Povil for example, the way he is sustained even. Ponmogamadani, this itself is offbeat. Ponmogamadani, punnagai ponga. Like he thought of offbeat ideas like this. Where you wonder where it comes from. Right?
Yeah, it's not like a copy Sangati that we think of. But yeah.
மாமையில் மீதே மாயமாய் வந்தார். மாமையில் மீதே மாயமாய் வந்தார். மாமையில் மீதே மாயமாய் வந்தார். பூங்குயில் பூங்குழலையில் ஒரு நாள் ஒரு நாள் ஒரு நாள். பொன்முக மதனில் பொன்முக மதனில் புன்னகை பொங்க. பொன்முக மதனில் புன்னகை பொங்க. பொன்முக மதனில் புன்னகை பொங்க. இன்னமும் முதல் இல்மொழி பகர்ந்தொரு இன்ன முதல் இல்மொழி பகர்ந்தொரு இன்ன முதல் இல்மொழி பகர்ந்தொரு இன்ன முதல் இல்மொழி பகர்ந்தொரு மின்னலை போல மறைந்தான் முருகன் மின்னலை போல மறைந்தான் பூங்குயில் கூவும் ஜோலையில் ஒரு நாள் பூங்குயில் கூவும் ஜோலையில் ஒரு நாள் பூ ஜோலையில் ஒரு நாள் ஒரு நாள் ஒரு நாள் ஒரு நாள் பனிமலர் ரதனில் புதுமணம் கண்டேன் பனிமலர் ரதனில் புதுமணம் கண்டேன் பனிமலர் அதனில் புதுமணம் கண்டேன் வானில் கடலில் வண்ணங்கள் 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 கண்டேன் தேனிசை வீணையில் தீஞ்சுவை கண்டேன் தேனிசை வீணையில் தீஞ்சுவை கண்டேன் தனிமையில் இனிமை கண்டேன் தனிமையில் இனிமை கண்டேன் நான் தனிமையில் இனிமை கண்டேன் நான் பூங்குயில் டோலையில் ஒரு நாள் பூங்குயில் டோலையில் ஒரு நாள் மாமையில் மீதே மாயமாய் வந்தார் பூங்குயில் ஒரு நாள் பூஞ்சோலையில் ஒரு நாள் பூஞ்சோலையில் ஒரு நாள் ஒரு
You and I, we often discuss about music as an extension of one's personality. And if you take Balu Mama as a person itself, he was very versatile. And we hear stories of him doing Vikata Kacheris, meaning concerts exclusively dedicated to mimicking people, mimicking artists. Like he used to do Semagudi Mama, Madhuramani Ayyar, G.N.B. Mama and all that. This means that he had the ability to mimic the sounds around him, imitate the sounds that he heard.
Sound, correct.
And that is a very common, great trait with all great musicians, I think.
Absolutely.
We hear stories of Janaki Amma imitating the sounds around her and all.
Correct. In fact, there is a theory that says the natural, response of a human voice is to imitate an instrument or a sound that it hears, kind of thing. So the voice only tries to imitate. Then probably we figure out how to create our own sound and things. But the voice's first instinct is to actually imitate something.
More so for musicians.
Absolutely.
So another thing he used to do was train choirs to present in All India Radio and other platforms.
In Ramakrishna Mission, I guess.
Well, also the students of Ramakrishna Mission. I think Ramesh Vinayakram sir, Rajkumar Bharti sir, and Ashok Ramade, they were all students of his in Ramakrishna Mission. But yeah, so he also used to tune compositions, right?
Correct. So there is this composition that he has tuned of Devi Navaratna Malika in a string of ragas, and I've heard the rendition of Kriti Bhatt and Kirtana Bhatt singing that. Very beautiful. I've not heard a recording of Balu Mama singing it. I'm not sure if it's there.
It is not accessible.
Or probably he has not even like sung his own tunes in like performances or things.
Knowing
like
him, it's very
we
possible.
never really know, but it's a very beautiful body of work, and I thought we should listen to it.
हारनूपुर किरीट कुण्डल विभूषित वयव शोभिनी कारणेश्वर मौलिकोटि परिकल्प्यमान पथपीठिका काल फणिपाश बाण धनुरङ्कुशम् अरुणमेखलाम् पालभूतिलकलोचनां मनसि भावयामि परदेवतां भावयामि परदेवताम् गन्धसार घनसार चारुणवनागवल्लिरसवासिनीं सान्ध्यराग मधुराधराभरण सुन्दरानन शुचिस्मिताम् मन्दरायत विलोचनाममल बालचन्द्र कृतशेखरीम् इन्दिरारमण सोदरी मनसि भावयामि परदेवतां भावयामि परदेवताम् स्मेरचारुमुखमण्डलां विमलगण्डलां विमणिमण्डलां हारदाम परिशोभमान कुचभारभीरुतनु मध्यमां वीरगर्वहरनूपुरां विविधकारणेशवरपीठिकां मारवैरिसहचारिणीं मनसि भावयामि परदेवतां भावयामि परदेवतां भावयामि परदेवताम् कुण्डलत्रिविध कोणमण्डलविहार षड्दल समुल्लसत् पुण्डरीकमुखभेदिनीं प्रचण्डभानुतटितोज्ज्वलां मण्डलेन्दुपरिवाहितामृततरङ्गिणीमरुणरूपिणीं मण्डलान्तमणिदीपिका मनसि भावयामि परदेवतां भावयामि वारणानन मयूरवाहमुखदाहवारणपयोधरां चारणादिसुरसुन्दरि चिकुरशेखरी कृतपदाम्बुजां कारणाधिपति पञ्चक प्रकृतिकारण प्रथममातृकां वारणाकमुखपारणां मनसि भावयामि परदेवतां भावयामि परदेवताम् आगमप्रणवपीठिकाममलवर्णमङ्गलशरीरिणीम् आगमावयवशोभिनीमखिल वेदसारकृतशेखरीं मूलमन्त्रमुखमण्डलां मुदितनादबिन्दुनवयौवनां मातृकां त्रिपुरसुन्दरी मनसि भावयामि परदेवतां भावयामि परदेवताम् भूरिभारधर कुण्डलीन्द्रमणिबद्धभूवलयपीठिकां वारिराशिमणिमेखलावलय भग्निमण्डलशरीरिणी वारिसारवः कुण्डलां गगनशेखरीं च परमात्मिकां चारुचन्द्ररविलोचनां मनसि भावयामि परदेवतां भावयामि परदेवताम् पद्मकान्तिपदपाणिपल्लवपयोधरानन सरोरुहां पद्म पद्मरागमणिमेखलाम्बलयनी विशोभितनितं विनी पद्मसम्भव सदा शिवान्तमय पञ्चरत्न पदपीठिका पद्मिनीं प्रणवरूपिणीं मनसि भावयामि परदेवतां भावयामि परदेवतां भावयामि परदेवताम् कालिकातिमिरकुन्तलान्तघनबृन्दमङ्गलविराजिनीं शूलिका शिखरमालिका वलयमल्लिका सुरभिसौरभां बालिका मधुरगण्डमण्डलमनोहरानन सरोरुहा कालिकामखिलनायिका मनसि भावयामि परदेवतां भावयामि परदेवतां भावयामि परदेवताम् नित्यमेव नियमेन कल्पितां भुक्तिमुक्तिफलदामभीष्टितां शङ्करेण रचितां सदा जपे नामरत्न नवरत्नमालिकां शङ्करेण रचितां सदा जपे नामरत्न नवरत्नमालिका.
So as we come to the conclusion of this session, I'm just thinking, Balumama was just one of a kind. Just pure music, pure heart. Where do you come across such music?
It's rare to find musicians of Balumama's cadre, for sure. I think it's a mix of a lot of things, not only musically, but in terms of a style, in terms of his contribution to Tamil music, as a thing, and his contribution to Viritham singing as a thing, and the sheer number of musicians that he has inspired, generations after generations. I think he's definitely a person who we all need to celebrate more and more, and probably imbibe more and more from how I see it.
And he's a standing example of Seivana Tirundachai. He did 4 things and he left a legacy behind him.
Absolutely. As we spoke about his conviction to just do Tamil as a thing, I think those things, but the body of work he's created there is like so deep and like so much to take from there. So yeah, definitely.
So I think he was a solitary singer, and he inspired not only great musicians of his own generation, but as you said, generations to come, including us.
We also want to kind of give credits to a few people who have helped us in this process of putting this together, mainly from the family of Shri Sethalapathy Balasubramaniam, both Shri Ganapati Raman and Shri D. Shivaraman, who both are eminent mridangists today. Shri Neyveli
My guru, Shri
Santhanagopalan,
Neyveli Santhanagopalan,
who has given us a lot of inputs, and thanks to the clippings from Srimati Shri Vidya Ramnath and Kriti Bhatt and Kirtana Bhatt as well, kindly agreed to let us use their clippings here. And Sriranjani and I are really grateful to the MOPA Foundation for asking us to do this episode on such a lovely musician like Balumama, who we all really adore. Thank you all for watching this episode. We'll come back with yet another episode of
Explore.
Thank you.
Thank you.
தினைப்புனத்தே வந்து உலாவுமணி கடலுள் மணி குருமணி எனச் சொல்லும் சுப்பிரமணிய பெரும் குணமணி